The Orange Bowl, January 1st, 1969. A fantastic ending to Penn State's first undefeated season since 1947. It all started on the practice field in September.
You've got to work awfully hard. You've got to work strenuously for long hours to get in shape, to get your timing, to get your bodies ready to play a tough 10-game schedule. There's absolutely no fun involved. It's just drive, 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 and you've got to do it.
Quick, ready?
Get all the men on defense. That's far to go. Third down and you gotta run. You'll get hurt if you don't.
Let's go.
All right, come on, let's go.
Third, well, we're 3rd and 2. Come on, get to the ball. Let's go. Move it. And standing like that. Biggest way.
Let's go, Green. Yeah, let's go, come on.
And all because you guys all thought you had it made. So don't think about making that much. Think about making 4 yards. And then you'll have a short yardage offense. Now look, think about making 5. They made it.
Who will ever forget 1968, the year of the Lions? Was one of tremendous excitement generated by players like All-America tight end Ted Qualick of McKees Rocks, Pennsylvania. Quarterback Chuck Burkhardt, also of McKees Rocks, whose performance exceeded all expectation. Halfback Bob Camel of Appalachian, New York, who made a remarkable recovery from an injury in time to get in some of the best running of his career. Halfback Charlie Pittman of Baltimore, Maryland, who gained more yards rushing in 1968 than any other Lion and set a record for touchdowns. Defensive tackle Mike Reed of Altoona, Pennsylvania, who spent most of his playing time in opponent's backfield. And defensive right tackle Steve Smear of Johnstown, Pennsylvania. All-America linebacker Denny Onkotz of Northampton, Pennsylvania, whose interception against Navy was one of the first shots fired by Penn State's Rover boys in 1968. Excitement with sophomore linebacker Jack Ham of Johnstown, Pennsylvania. Jim Case, Plainfield, New Jersey, one of the best interior linebackers in football. And Neil Smith, the junior safety from Sealands Grove, Pennsylvania, making one of his 8 interceptions. Beaver Stadium, University Park, Pennsylvania, September 1968. Navy was the first hurdle for Penn State. Joe Paterno anticipated some problems. He had a new and inexperienced quarterback in Chuck Burkhardt. He was off to a shaky start. Navy was weighed down with its own problems. namely 225-pound Steve Smear and 240-pound Mike Reed. Bill Elias, the Middies coach, waited impatiently for his offense to get on track. Penn State was through waiting. Charlie Pittman got help from Bob Campbell at midfield. The rest came easy. Before his day was complete, Pittman had piled up 161 yards and a touchdown. Defensively, the Nittany Lions had sealed off Navy's running attack. Now they were taking away the pass. Pete Johnson intercepted Mike McNallen and scored. Then it was Pete Johnson forcing the fumble that Jack Ham recovered for Penn State. On 3rd and goal, Penn State ran a reverse that worked to perfection. Bob Campbell got the points. Preseason polls showed Penn State to be the top team in the East. More than 49,000 at Beaver Stadium were convinced as Paul Johnson put the topper on a really big show by returning a Navy punt for a touchdown. Penn State had won 31-6. Then Kansas State rolled into town, primed for an upset. Bob Campbell got into a jam, which resulted in a Kansas State field goal. The Wildcats kept it up. Lynn Dickey passed to Mac Curran, a 9-3 sprinter. This was no way to treat a Penn State team that had nailed down 4th place in the national polls. The situation demanded a second-half resurgence by the Nittany Lions. Bob Campbell got it underway. But on the play, Campbell was hurt and lost to the team for 3 games. Most of the ball-carrying burden now fell on number 24, Charlie Pittman, who quickly put Penn State in front in this game. Penn State's defense against the rush continued to prove sensational. Chuck Burkhardt's passing was definitely on the upswing. If Penn State had learned anything, it was that it could bounce back from near defeat. The Lions traveled to West Virginia mountaineer country. Penn State took the initiative and scored with 230-pound Ted Quallick pile driving into the end zone on an end-around play. West Virginia stormed back. With some unexpected help, Oscar Patrick scored, and Penn State was trailing. Sherwood knocked on Oscar Patrick's door again. Benny Oncotts answered. Becoming a habit, the defense setting up the offense. Chuck Burkhardt passed to Charlie Wilson, who was playing his first game for the Lions. It was a new game with the score tied. The crowd at Mountaineer Field watched in stunned amazement as Charlie Pittman almost single-handedly propelled the next Penn State drive. The 190-pound speedster had put Penn State back on top. Then Mike Sherwood did a foolish thing. He tried a screen pass that was easy pickings for alert Benny Oncotts. Oncott was named Lineman of the Week, and Penn State went on to its 3rd victory without a loss. Joe Paterno had never beaten UCLA, and the Bruins were favored to edge the Lions in '68. Led by All-East tackle Mike Reed, the Penn State forward wall proved it was the nation's best in rushing defense. Then an Andersician tried to punt. Jack Ham blocked it. And Jim Cates took off like a halfback. Penn State had taken the early lead. The Bruins were foiled every time they made a move. Nader's pass was intercepted by Pete Johnson. Thus inspired, the Lion offense went to work. Chuck Burkhardt found Tom Cherry all alone. The senior from Pittsburgh didn't stop running until he had gone 76 yards for a touchdown. At this point in the season, Ted Qualick hadn't caught many passes. He broke out of the slump with 5 sensational receptions against UCLA. And Charlie Pittman broke the Bruins' backs with his fancy footwork. Penn State had won a big one, upsetting UCLA 21-6 to stay unbeaten. After a week's layoff, Penn State returned to action against Boston College, one of the nation's offensive leaders. The Lion attack is a bit rusty. But the Eagles were unable to take advantage of their opponent's slow start. The game was 25 minutes old before the Penn State attack took on a new appearance. The Nittany Lions were hitting on all cylinders. Chuck Burkhardt and Ted Qualick formed a red-hot passing combination. Burkhardt completed a 31-yard pass to Qualick, who made a spectacular catch in the end zone. An interception gave Penn State another chance. Burkhardt stayed with Qualick. Ted made 5 receptions for 75 yards in the game. Fullback Tom Cherry put his 220 pounds in motion and scored. In the space of 5 minutes, Penn State rolled up 17 points. In the second half, it was a blocked punt by Jack Ham that led to Cherry scoring his second touchdown. The Rover Boys continued to be one of the country's most offensive-minded defensive units. They forced most of the turnovers that led to Penn State's 29-0 shutout of Boston College. For years, Army had been a tough game for Penn State. And again, the cadets were bent on destroying the Lions' power grip in the East. Penn State struck early. Bob Camel scored on a naked reverse. Camel, number 23, had been sidelined with a shoulder separation for 3 games. His speedy recovery spells big trouble for Army. Charlie Pittman found daylight on the left side. Penn State maintained its edge into the final quarter. Later, a break. The Lions missed a field goal. Army touched it. Penn State recovered on the Army 2. And Bob Camel did the rest. 22-10, Penn State. It was an uphill battle, but the cadets were full of fight. Steve Lindell passed to Gary Steele for 58 yards. Charlie Jarvis dived over from the 1. The cadets were hanging tough, trailing 22-17. Time was running out, and Army needed possession, so naturally it tried an onside kick. Anybody seen a football? Ted Qualick had it and swept past the stunned cadets for a touchdown. Let's look at it again. Arden Jensen kicked it. In the mad scramble, the ball squirted out the other end of the pile. Pollock scooped it up and tucked it under his arm, and Penn State had insurance points. The Lions' record remained perfect with a 28-24 victory over the Army. Stop the Lions. That was the cry of Miami head coach Charlie Tate. And the best way to do that was to surprise and overpower the Penn State defense. This 78-yard first-quarter explosion was just what Tate's Hurricanes needed to take a quick 7-0 lead. Coach Tate's second plan for victory was to contain the State running attack. And with a big, strong defensive forward wall, led by number 89, Ted Hendricks, the ground game grinds to a halt in the first quarter. Hendricks, affectionately known as the Mad Stork, had an affinity for the ball and anyone who had it. Just ask Chuck Burkhardt. The 7-0 Miami lead carried into the second half when Charlie Pittman rekindled the Penn State offense behind the driving offensive line. The key was to run where Ted Hendricks wasn't. Pittman behind excellent blocking by Ted Qualick. The touchdown made it 7-6 Miami. The Lions were rolling now, and Charlie Pittman was still providing the momentum with dazzling footwork. On fourth down, blocks by Don Abbey and Ted Qualick provided the room for Pittman to put Penn State ahead for the first time. The Lions led 12-7, and Charlie Tate was beside himself. The State defense was performing as well as it had all year. In the second half, it allowed only 20 yards and 1 first down. The freewheeling 4-4-3 defensive alignment also intercepted 3 Miami passes to help halt the Hurricanes. And then pulled off the type of defensive gem that coaches dream about. Jack Ham broke through the block of Miami goal line punt, and Lincoln Lippincott recovered at the 5-yard line. Let's look at that again. Hank Collins punted. Jack Ham blocked. Lincoln Lippincott recovered. The defense did it again. The rest was easy for Charlie Pittman and the offensive squad. The final touchdown gave Penn State its 7th victory and one of the greatest comebacks in its history. Every game is important when you're shooting for a perfect season, but against Maryland, quarterback Chuck Burkhardt was also aiming his Lions toward a trip to the Orange Bowl. The first step to victory was provided by the defense. Steve Smear, a tackle who ran like a fullback with a pass interception. Those Oranges were within reach. Leading 14-0, Penn State continued to stop the Terps, while moving forward themselves. Dennis Oncott started a scoring drive with his punt return. And Charlie Pittman finished it. With Maryland keying on Camel and Pittman, both runners handled the ball, and Camel rambled to the 5. Charlie Pittman's touchdown propelled State to a 26-0 advantage, and there was still 10 minutes to play in the first half. The Lions' balanced attack didn't slow down. Pittman again. Fullback Don Abbey bowled Penn State to a commanding 34-0 halftime lead. Before the final gun, Joe Paterno's reserves had some fun. Gary Duell ran away from, around, and threw the Terps to cap off a 57-13 Penn State victory. The Orange Bowl trip was clinched. The Lions had won 8 in a row. Next test for the unbeaten Nittany Lions was intrastate rival Pittsburgh. And on this November afternoon, the Lions handed the Panthers their worst defeat ever. Johnny Pittman got good blocking on a trip to the Pitt 11. Bob Garthwaite kicked a 23-yard field goal. The third-ranked Lions led 3-0. It was homecoming day for state quarterback Chuck Burkhart and All-America tight end Ted Qualley. Both attended Montour High near Pittsburgh, and both had good days. Fullback Don Abbey bounced off a hard tackle at the goal line to increase the Penn State lead. In the second period, the Lions were galloping for more. Bob Camel got beautiful downfield blocking to register a 27-yard gain. The Lions went for the field goal, or so it appeared, but Mike Smith faked the kick and raced into the end zone for a touchdown. Every facet of Penn State's game clicked today. Denny Onkotz took a pit punt and raced 63 yards to set the Lion offense up on the Panther 2. Watch the left side of the Penn State line fold the Panther defense as Charlie Pittman scored again. Penn State made its record 9-0 with a smashing 65-9 victory over Pittsburgh. The Orange of Syracuse were the last obstacle to a perfect season and the highest ranking ever in the national poll. Not until the final minutes of the game could Syracuse score, and both touchdowns were against the second unit. But prior to that, the game was dominated by the Lions. Penn State was seeking its 17th straight regular season victory spanning 2 years. For the Lions, the accent was on the orange, not the Orange Bowl, because they had not beaten Syracuse at Beaver Stadium since 1962. And the second-best rushing defense in the country showed its class. Chuck Burkhart knew the Orangemen were ranked second in total defense, but picked the right spot to connect with Leon Angevine to score State's first touchdown the first time they got the ball. Ben Schwartzwalder, head coach of Syracuse, was dismayed when number 23 Bob Camel exploded on one of the finest single-game performances ever by a Penn State back. It began with his 40-yard romp, and after one quarter, his total yardage was 97 yards. Then, the other half of the Lions' brilliant 1-2 running punch came to life. Charlie Pittman scored State's second touchdown for a 14-0 first quarter lead. Syracuse could gain only 59 yards on the ground in the first half and could not do much better in the air. Neil Smith intercepted this one. 2 plays later, Bob Camel recorded Penn State history. John Kolka's key block sprang Camel loose on an 87-yard touchdown run, the longest Lion touchdown ever from scrimmage. The 21-0 lead was a happy moment for Joe Paterno, as was his selection later as Coach of the Year. Bob Camel completed his brilliant day with this 19-yard draw play, one of 15 electrifying carries that netted 239 yards. The 30-12 victory completed a perfect 10-0 record, 17th straight in 2 regular seasons, and now it's on to the Orange Bowl. Penn State and Kansas in the Orange Bowl. It shaped up as a classic duel between 2 high-scoring football machines. The Nittany Lions had the edge on defense. Under the bright Miami moon, Penn State exploded. Bob Camel led the charge. Charlie Pittman got more fine blocking and scored. The game was tied 7-7. It was still deadlocked in the fourth quarter when Penn State was forced to punt. Donnie Shanklin returned the kick 46 yards to set up a touchdown. John Riggins scored, and the Jayhawks owned a 14-7 lead. Kansas, with left-handed Bobby Douglas at the passing helm, launched another drive. Donnie Shanklin ran into a stone wall. On 4th and 1, John Riggins was stopped for no gain. Penn State's heroic stand had to be duplicated with 2 minutes to go. The Lion defense, led by number 68 Mike Reed, smothered Bobby Douglas. 3rd and 16, Reed dropped Douglas for another tremendous loss. Kansas punted, and Penn State took over at the 50. 1:16 left in the game. Chuck Burkhart completed the most important pass of his life. Bob Campbell made the catch and fought to the Kansas 3. With 22 seconds to go, Burkhart faked a handoff, rolled left, and scored. Penn State trailed 14-13. The Nittany Lions had come too far to settle for a tie. They gambled by passing for the 2-point conversion. Incomplete to Qualley. But there was a penalty. Kansas was detected with a 12th man on the field. Penn State got another chance for a 2-pointer in victory. This time the Lions stayed on the ground. Camel to the opposite side. He's over. A wild 15-14 finish that must rank with the greatest in sports history. Penn State had its perfect season, 11 victories and number 2 in the nation. Who will ever forget 1968, the year of the Lions? Coach Joe Paterno is already thinking ahead to the 1969 season.
We're going to try to make the Nittany Lions symbolic of great football, with people who belong at a good university, with people who have ambitions not only to be play on a great football team, but have ambitions to be something big in life. Whatever their chosen profession may be, we think that we can make the Nittany Lions a symbol of all the good things in big-time intercollegiate football.